is now defunct.
Okay.
Really
They
already?
folded a week after the championship.
So we're back to having a little
Regular crowd.
regular crowd. Yep, it's to get a little bit
Wow.
less people.
Not any quieter.
I didn't want to bring the sporting teams down by having to wear this lovely shirt that I got from the Kamoka
Yep.
hockey team, Classics. But thanks to a friend of mine on council, Rick Hamley, that said, we should probably put a bet on this. We did.
You figured we had it in the bag, didn't you, Rick?
And then Andy,
Well, you know how good they are, though, George? They don't want to play Palmerston ever, or Minto ever again, so they folded their
that's
team,
right,
so.
no chance to get back at them. But anyways, I did say to the mayor, and he sent me a lovely letter, and I'll read it. Thank you for being such a great sport. I hope the sweater fits. It was a great series and was positive for both municipalities. There was certainly a lot of drama in about every game. Your community is enthusiastic both at home and was great. Thanks again. Hope to meet with you sometime at a conference. Sincerely, Al. Right? Edmondson. So, Al, I've done my duty. I've worn it, and we have a picture. Not yet. We'll take a picture and send that down to him.
I think you should wait till after the meeting.
Yeah.
Before and after.
Does it fit?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it must have been somebody that didn't play. It's got scars on it. According to Deputy Mayor Fisk, it's got like, looks like somebody hacked him on the shoulder here or whatever. But I just want to also say that our 81s did a great job, and that's a big accomplishment to make to the finals. And I know they got a young team, and they'll be back. So, and as we've been told, Pomona took them about 3 or 4 years up there. They had quite a few runs at it, and 15 of their guys retired because they did finally win it. So good for them, and next time I won't add a little insult to injury after we're up 2-0 and send little notes out. But anyways,
Mr. Mayor, also I wanted to, our 81's fans, there was more of them at the Kamoka than there was Kamoka fans, so
yeah.
they did a really good job of trying to pick them up and go with them. They stayed with them even through the tough times, so
Oh, for sure.
it's great to see.
For sure, yeah. And I went to a couple games, but it was really good hockey too. Excellent hockey. Okay, that's it. Can I take this off now?
Don't mess up,
Yeah, I'm
mess
afraid
up
to
your
have
hair.
it. I don't know, where is it good hockey as when I played for the 81s, Ron? Or?
Never. I've never coached a better hockey player than you, Rick. Emmett.
Thank you, Ron. You've been the best coach I've ever had in my career.
Thank you so much.
He's really getting to be thick over here.
Next liar, please stand up.
Liar.
All right. So I guess we'll go into the next item. Moved by Councillor Colwell, seconded by Councillor Hamley, the minutes of the November 26, 2013 budget deliberation meeting, and the minutes of the January 23, 2014 budget deliberation meeting, and the minutes of the May 6, 2014 council meeting be approved as circulated. Any?
On page 4, under water,
Which one on which? On the November one?
November 26th, I believe. Mayor Bridge asked about the Welling Advertiser article comparing the cost of police services, and it was actually fire services.
That's right.
And then there's the name of the one of the representatives. This will be the May 6th meeting, I believe. It was Mary Ann Christie, and it says Bob McIntyre from Big Falls. It's actually Bob McIntyre.
Yeah. Anything else? With those changes, all in favor? Carried. Thanks.
What was Santa Claus is back?
Jingle bells, jingle bells.
Oh, you just don't fall in the hole. I did put it back in because there was a big hole there.
They tripped over twice. We put it back
I'll
in
be
until
the.
we started.
Can you be the official look after of that?
Official looker after.
Good. Additional items disclosed as other business. I have one. Anybody else?
Yeah, I have one.
Dave? Nay? Anybody else? Okay. No, we're not quite to 7. Okay, we go with me. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Deputy Mayor Fisk. The Town Council convenes in a committee of the whole. All in favor? We could do pitch it. No? One more person? Okay. All right.
Davis, Stiles, no. Okay, talk one.
Are we going into any other stuff? Okay, let's do the correspondence. We're just trying to fill in till we can't really start the public meeting till 7, so. If we go to correspondence, the motion to accept the correspondence with Councilor Church, second by Councilor Faulkner. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Committee minutes for receipt. Yeah, we can do the minutes. Committee minutes. Wellington County Municipal Economic Development Group. Okay. Anybody any concerned about the minutes? I can maybe go over anything there that Belinda's here too. So, did you want to do the most?
Yes, I was just looking at my minutes and I noticed they did not print on both sides, so I had Annaline, I printed off a copy in page 2, which is the most important page.
Right.
So there it is. Do you want me to go just quickly breeze through that? So the public meeting that we had last Wednesday for the Big Dig was well attended. We had about 30 people come out, so Brian Hansen won the pool. And the only thing that I really wanted to highlight, there's 2, was on page 2. We have a facade application for Miller Insurance. Okay. And that is for, they purchased Larry Grumman Insurance. It's in Clifford, their location there. They're redoing the whole facade. Normally, we would have people apply before they begin the work, but Miller Insurance was brand new to the community, didn't obviously know about the program until the Mayor's Breakfast in Clifford, when I told them that that would be a good project to apply for. So it is a significant project. They're spending about $23,000, so that's a $3,000 investment on our behalf. And then later on in those minutes, you will see another recommendation, and that's to support Party in the Park with our community development grant for $2,000 for this year. So those were 2 recommendations that came from Economic Development Committee.
And that's a great committee, Belinda. So you've got a good bunch of people on that committee too.
It does. It's a great committee, yes. Good chair.
He was a great hockey player too.
Has anybody got
any questions
on the one you just got? So.
Okay.
How much was in the pool?
I don't think
we didn't have any money. We don't gamble that night.
Copies. Just bragging.
Yeah. Motion to accept. Councillor Caldwell, Councillor Hemley, all in favor? Good. Yeah, it's interesting. Our Mayor's Breakfast is when Belinda's preaching the facade thing, and we get one right away, right? Just worked perfect, especially with a new business in town. So good. Now we're going to reports then. So, staff report, Wellington County Fire Training Officers Report. Number 1 is other staff reports.
Mayor Bridge, if I may, this is provided by the county fire coordinator. It outlines his activities for previous year and goes into things he plans for the year ahead. He's not here today. If you wish to have him attend a meeting, I certainly would be pleased to ask him on your behalf. But he's simply reporting to you on his activities.
No question, CO White, our chief is happy with the arrangement and the quality of the training.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, we spoke at department heads today, and that question was posed, and he did indicate that this position has been beneficial to the department for sure.
And it's nice because it's a county paid position. which I think shows the cooperation, because it'd be pretty hard, I may be speaking with Rick on this, but to each department have one, this would almost be impossible to fund. So it's been another spot where the county did step up, and what I've been talking to Chris about it, it certainly helped our training people and keep it coordinated. I'll be talking to him later. There's a couple questions I've got on it, but I'm just going to ask him when I see him. How many firemen that we actually have put through? I don't know if you know, Rick, top of your head. Out of the 51, I know we did quite a few. Yeah, but yeah. Okay.
Chris will have the numbers.
Yeah. Motion to receive that. Councilor Faulkner, Deputy Mayor Fisk, all in favor? Good. Thank you. Next is the Clerical Financial Assistance Policy Manual Update. Annaline's getting that one? Oh, you're just kind of jumping you around, Annaline, eh? You know what? You gotta be nimble. Watch the cord. Don't trip on the cord. Yep. Besides,
It's gonna be a long one.
oh, yeah. You got 3 minutes for 7.
That's right. Mayor and Council, the report I have before you is the policy manual update. This is the policy manual, which I did not copy for you all, I'm sorry. The purpose of updating this manual is because of our restructuring that we've had in the past 3 years. It says about senior management in here. As well, there are policies in here that are no longer required. What I'm asking that I had attached a list of the policies that we would be changing. They're also in multiple different areas, and we'd like to keep them in just one. So when we're changing out a policy or having to update it, we're not having to update multiple areas. So attached was a list of the duplicate and outdated policies to be removed. My recommendation is that you accept my report and approve the changes to the policy manual.
Questions for Annaline?
Through you, Mayor Bridge, I don't know if it's a fair question to ask you or not, Annaline, but 3.7 water and sewer, it says should be removed incorrect information. Do you have any idea what was incorrect about it?
I think 3.7. Some of the ones are more bylaw related and actually not related to an actual policy that was passed. So when I'm looking at it, it says in here about a bylaw 0286. That's no longer a bylaw number for our water and sewer. And so there's also things in there that was in 0286. Those are no longer, it's not what we need anymore. There's also security deposits for residential tenants, which we no longer use that as well.
Bill?
Just at the risk of a number of questions, what we really didn't get into is the substance of the policy, and we should, over time, I think, go through that with council, because there are a number of them that you may find that we should change or have a different practice on, but we have not done that for you this term. We obviously did do a number of new policies, and that they would be in that document. But basically what we're doing is changing where it said references to senior management team making certain decisions. We changed that to the CAO clerk and some other sort of more administrative corrections. And then if something came out like that referred to an old bylaw that no longer applied, then that came out too. But you know, at some point we should be going through all the policies with you together and making changes that you feel like you need to make. But it was a task just to get the administrative changes made over the last several months.
I currently have 4 down to be removed. 2 of them because they are no longer in use, or that is just a policy that's no longer required. And the other 2 is the water and sewer, which again should refer back to the most recent bylaw.
And if I may, that will change even more because we'll go to metering and all the billing will change and all that.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, and maybe Bill, you could help me out with this, but a policy is really just a guideline. And in fact, it's not a bylaw that's really enforceable. In fact, we can move within policy. It's kind of a moving thing. If it doesn't suit the needs of the day for that policy to be in place, we can do that without having to go through a council procedure, can we not?
Well, generally, we try and implement the policies of council, but you're correct, it is just that. So if there's something that doesn't follow policy, we'd like to try and bring that back to you so you can make a decision, but many of them are written to give leeway for staff to make decisions so long as they're generally following the intent.
Yes.
And of course, council acts by bylaw, essentially, so these are not bylaws, these are policies, and they are different.
So in fact, we need that kind of fluctuation. That's why they're policies, so that we have movement, because their day-to-day activities are sometimes within the policies, must change or have to change to be able to operate correctly. Okay, thanks.
But I do believe policies do have standing in civil court, correct?
I don't know that.
Yeah, but my experience is that they are often brought out, but they are brought out as policies.
Correct.
So,
correct.
Anyway, just more or less book housekeeping.
it was, and we didn't want to copy the full binder. But there are quite a number of things in there that we run into from time to time. When snowplow hits a mailbox, what happens in those cases? How we bill for water, how if there's an appeal of a planning application to the Ontario Municipal Board, who pays for that? These have all been set out in policies over the years. This council dealt with the policy for having blackberries, and we implemented that. A number of other things on selling land and so forth are in there. So it's quite a range of things in all different departments. This council had a role in updating the alcohol policy.
Okay. Can I so move for that
Yep.
recommendation?
We have a mover, Councillor Turton, Councillor Caldwell, all in favor? Carried. Okay.
Mayor Bridge, if anyone's interested, I'd be happy to take some time and go through some of them with you. Curious.
Got a rainy day thing.
Could you read them all back to me now?
We'll do that after council.
Okay.
Do you want me to go ahead
Are we
and?
gonna back to public meeting? If they're all here now?
Sure.
One more, Annalene? Go ahead.
Sure. It's just a quick one. It's our 7th annual volunteer appreciation event.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Again this year. Last year we had approximately 200 volunteers attend. It was very well attended in Clifford. And that was up from about 150 the year previously. Now, with this being an election year, I would like to request that council consider holding the event in August. A barbecue would be an appropriate meal to have, and it would be in Harrison again this year. What I'm looking for is a date in August to be determined by council. I'm also asking that we increase the budget slightly to $1,100.
From,
Last time it was 1,000, was the budget, and we were over budget last time, so,
well, Monday the 4th, there'd be a lot of people around, wouldn't there?
no. I'm looking at, and I think it was the week before the mayor's golf tournament,
As we get into AMO after that.
because you get into AMO after that. The week prior to the mayor's golf tournament, I know that the arena is available.
The Wednesday night, are you talking
I
about?
think it was the Thursday night.
Thursday night. I think Thursday before, so it'd be the 7th of August. But you guys can check your
For your
calendars on that.
consideration, but you can let me know.
What time are you thinking, Annalene?
A supper, again, like a 6 p.m. supper.
6 p.m.
And you know, it just, we can't thank our volunteers enough. If we don't have our volunteers, we can't run the town in a sense. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Our volunteer groups. And was 200 last year?
It was approximately 200 last year. That's our highest
And I
yet.
bet you out of those 200, a lot of them were volunteering in about 4 different things. So that seemed to be what the norm is. You ask for, well, what do you volunteer in? Well, I do this committee, that committee, I do this, and I do that. So our volunteers are well spread out as well. So we really get a big bang for our buck, $1,100 for probably 300 volunteers when more when you figure out how many other things they volunteer, one person does the work. So works out pretty good. And I know everybody here loves to cook for people, right?
Absolutely.
They're all good cookers. Hey, Dave? Okay, so need a motion for, try the 7th, and if you have a problem with the date, we'll figure it out from there. Moved by Deputy Mayor Fisk, second by Councillor Faulkner, all in favor? Great, thanks, Emily.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back to the top of the order. Public meeting. This public meeting is to consider amendment to the Town of Minto zoning bylaw, number 0186 for the property located at Part Lot 79 Concession D, 5889 Highway 9, Town of Minto. I'll act as the chair of the public meeting. I'll call the meeting to order and request any member of the public present to sign the attendance record and state the following. If a person or a public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Town of Minto before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Town of Minto to the Ontario Municipal Board, and the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the board unless, in the opinion of the board, there are reasonable grounds to do so. I'll now turn it over to CEO Clerk White to describe the property and purpose of the effect of the application. Date notices are sent.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. The property subject to the proposed amendment is Part Lot 79, Concession D, 5889 Highway 9. The property is 14.29 hectares or 35 acres in size. The proposed amendment is to rezone the vacant subject lands to allow an expansion of the existing woodworking shop from 1,620 square feet up to 4,000 square feet. The applicant also wished to have 2 employees, whereas only 1 is permitted in the home industry regulations. Notices were mailed to property owners within 400 feet or 120 meters of the subject property and to applicable agencies and posted on the lands April 29th. Following comments have been received. From the Town of Minto staff, the clerk's assistant report is attached. The main zoning of the property is agriculture. The owner farms the land and raises beef, cattle, and chickens. The existing and proposed use of the woodworking shop is home industry. Home industry is defined as a small-scale occupation or business conducted for gain or profit as a secondary use. Town staff raised no concerns with the proposed addition to the woodworking shop or the additional off-site employee. Chief Building Official mentioned that minor housekeeping revisions may be considered to update the restrictions and limitations within the town zoning bylaw at a future council meeting. Jim and Doreen Harkness sent a note in. They had no objections to the application. County of Wellington Manager of Planning Mark Van Patter, who I don't see here tonight. I'll read his planning opinion summary. The applicants are proposing a 4,000 square foot woodworking shop and 1 additional off-site employee. Currently, the Minto bylaw is more restrictive than a number of other local municipalities in terms of limitations on the scale of home industries. It is my feeling the Minto Council could support the application, as woodworking shops can require larger areas given the size of materials handled. Mr. Webb could provide further information on usage of the 4,000 square feet, lunchroom, washroom, office, material storage, finished product storage, etc. This may be helpful to council in making a decision. There is a draft bylaw attached to the manager of planning report. Okay. And that is all the information provided in correspondence.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. I'll call on the applicant or his agent to provide comments regarding the proposed amendment of the zoning bylaw. Does anybody like to come up and, is there any questions for Mr. Weaver? Okay. Is the council got any questions?
I just have one, it's in respect to the, what happens if there is a 3rd employee? Does that become then a commercial property? Is that how that works? I'm not sure what the purpose is of cutting it off at, because it said an addition of a labor means minor variance or whatever.
No, I mean, that's correct. If council approves the bylaw as drafted, they would only be allowed 2 employees that reside permanently that don't reside permanently on the premises, so they would not be allowed a 3rd.
Yeah. And what happens if there's a 3rd? What happens?
In order to have a 3rd, he would need to, if I may, change the zoning or apply for a variance or something further than that. It would be a contravention of this bylaw if the council saw fit.
But it doesn't become a different classification of commercial. Okay, thank you.
I guess that's, any other questions? Thanks, Mr. Weaver. I'll call anyone wishing to comment in opposition to the proposed amendment. Seeing none. Any questions from the council?
Mr. Van Patter just mentioned something about maybe our floor area isn't large enough for these industries. Are we planning on doing anything about that, or what's the process to make that change?
If I may, through you, Mayor Bridge, the planner would need to bring forward a standard that he felt would be appropriate to put in our bylaw. After you've had this public meeting, if council wanted to direct the planner to bring back a report on what is the appropriate standard, that would certainly be in order. I think we've had a number of these over the last few years, and you know, if we can get the area up a little bit, something that's tolerable, then that would go through as a housekeeping amendment, and that would be the same rule for everyone. So worthwhile. It would get rid of some of these ones. This one's fairly sizable, but you know, I don't know whether 6,000 square feet size or 5,000. You would need to ask the planner to bring back, and he could report on what standards the other municipalities are using.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like the other municipalities have a little bit of a less restrictive standard, so we should maybe have a look at it. I totally agree with this type of business being on a farm, because it just allows that extra income we all need to keep a farm operation going. And I think that's what the official plan says as well, so I think this works well, so other comments. So I'll state that if you wish to be notified of the decision of council of the town of Minto in respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application, you must make a written request to the clerk of the town of Minto at 5941 Highway 89, Harrison, Ontario, NOG 10, or by email at bwhite@town.minto.on.ca. There's no further comments. I'll adjourn the meeting.
Mayor Bridge, just to note that that bylaw will come forward at your next meeting for adoption.
Okay.
That would be June 4th.
Thanks for coming. Good. No, you wouldn't. I don't think you'd have to be. Okay, where are we now? Thank you. Motion to. Yeah. Jerry, do you want to make a motion on looking into the other?
Sure.
So
You want me to word that?
Oh, I
think the motion would be just that the planner report back on appropriate square footage for home industry, home occupation.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Fisk, second by Councilor Hemley. All in favor? Okay, good. All right, I'm going back to my schedule here now. Okay, where are we? Oh, pitch it. Yes.
Just a question. I just wondered why the June 4th date rather than tonight, if I could ask a question.
The planner hadn't been in, and we didn't have the bylaw in bylaw form, so.
Oh, okay. I just wondered, yeah.
Sometimes we have the bylaw the same night, where we're able to get it ready for tonight.
Okay, thank you.
And we have pitch it. You need the mic? Oh, you want to use the mic? Okay.
That's all right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so it's always an exciting time to come and talk to council and the audience about our Pitch It program. So as you know, we've been working away on that the last few months, and the contestants have been working away the last few months. So I'm just going to do kind of a recap on Pitch It, and then get to the exciting stuff of announcing our finalists and winners. So as you know, the goal of Pitch It was to grow small businesses in Minto. We very first decided to do this when we found out that many businesses in Minto did not have business plans, and it's extremely important to plan if you're going to be successful in your business. So that was the very first goal. We want to attract, retain, and expand existing businesses in Minto. We want to increase the awareness of the resources. We find every time we do a BRNE, people don't know about the resources that are out there, and there are a lot. And so this helps us get the word out about those. This also was the start to building our angel investor network, and hoping to probably do this at a larger county level as well. And then to build our mentorship program, which now is moving over into our Launch It space. So it's kind of neat to see how things evolve. So who could enter? Anyone that was looking to open a new business, purchase an existing business, expand an existing business, or relocate their business to Minto could apply for this program. Our judges this year were Tony Tostros, the president of the Minto Chamber of Commerce and also the owner of Harry Stone's. Rose Austin was back again for the third year, and Harold was back for the second year. Those are two great organizations, Saugeen Economic Development and the Guelph Wellington Business Enterprise Center, great partners in this program and other economic development programs we offer. Oh my gosh, I can't even see that, it's so small. Okay, I definitely want to read the judges' comments because they were so impressed with the applicants this year. It was extremely difficult to judge, and I just want to read those. Coming over here.
Grab the mic there.
You'll want me to read it to you as well, because Mary Lou won't be able to see it either, I'm sure. No. So this is what Rose had to say. I was extremely impressed with all the finalists this year and would like to congratulate them all for operating such unique and interesting businesses. The passion that each of these entrepreneurs shows for their business and their community is extremely evident in all they do. It was an extremely difficult decision to narrow it down to just one, because in my opinion, they all deserve to win. Congratulations to all of them and to Minto. You truly have the entrepreneurial spirit. Tony said, I thoroughly enjoyed participating in Pitch It as a judge this year. Although judging such a diverse group of entrepreneurs is almost impossible, I could clearly hear the enthusiasm each person had when they started talking about the aspects of their business that they care about most. As an entrepreneur who launched his first restaurant 10 years ago, I know there is resistance and challenges and learning curves. But what I saw during the presentations was imagination, possibilities, hopes, and high expectations, which is what is required for success. Although the prizes are nice and the prestige of winning feels good, let me say that all of the contestants have demonstrated they have a good idea, and with some persistence, they can grow it as big as they can imagine it to be. Please use the training you have received as a finalist, work with Launch It and the Chamber to find the small things that will help you move to the next level. Congratulations, and I hope to see you all surpass the goals you've set out in your business plans. Tony is such a way with words. He always surprises me. He does. After seeing the presentations, all the contestants were going to receive anyway a free 1-year membership with the Chamber and a free 3-month membership with Launch It and our training program. Rose Austin, SEDC, was so impressed with the potential of all these businesses that after she heard the presentation, she offered up 9 months of membership in their training program. So that puts the finalists receiving each over $1,000 in prizing. And in many cases, that's worth much more than the cash. Yep. And Harold wished he could have offered more, but he couldn't, so he could have done more. So
he could have. I'll talk to Harold now.
Yeah. So I wanted to really recognize all of the finalists this year because they were all amazing. Grants Service Center, there's the Habermill family. They own Grants, and as we all know, they're planning for an expansion. They've been in business since 2005 in Palmerston. Congratulations to them. Minto Mom is a website blog. If you haven't heard about her, she's a great cheerleader for the town of Minto and all the businesses and events that are going on in our community. That's owned and operated by Nicola, and she's been in business since 2012. Minto Computers is owned by Kyle Welsh, and he specializes in custom-built computers, repairs, whatever you need done. You don't need to throw your computer out. Take it to Kyle. He can fix it. And he's been in business since 2003. 13. Oh, 2013, yeah, thank you. Wesley's here tonight, and Wesley's a brand new business idea, and this is Free Range Arts, and it's really neat concept of bringing people to the community that are going to live with artists in the community, learn their trade, and get to live here and spend money throughout the community. So the judges really loved Wesley's idea, and he did a great job on his business plan as well. Weathered, another really cool Minto business. Andy Pridham owns it. He started in 2010, and this is located in Palmerston as well. He does replica vintage signs, marquee letters, bar restoration, some really cool work in Toronto, and much of his business is in Toronto working with designers. So really supporting local Minto businesses and exporting his products, so bringing money into the community, and does some really great stuff with old wood and making the beautiful furniture. So again, we are blessed with so many creative and cool businesses here, and I just think they all needed to be recognized a little further. So the winner of Pitch It then is going to take home over $10,000 in cash and prizes. $3,000 is startup capital or capital that's going to help them grow their business, And this is who our angel investors are for that. So we have obviously the town, the chamber, Mayor Bridge, Saugeen Economic Development, Harry Stone's Pizza Burger. The winner is going to receive a 1-year membership to the Saugeen Economic Development's Excellence Program. That's a $2,000 value. She's going to get 500 business cards, envelopes, and letterhead. I don't know if she's going to need that or anything, but Wellington Advertiser. Coaching and mentorship package from Guelph Wellington Business Enterprise Center, $600 value. A free chamber membership, $170 value. Advertising package with Blackburn Stations out of Wingham. Website design, CMS setup and posting from Awesome Interactive in Harrison. Quarter-page ad in the Minto Express, Independent Plus, and Business Story. Thank you, Shanna, at the Minto Express and Independent Plus. Whiteman's going to be giving 6 months of free internet service and feature of the competition, The Winning Business, on Whiteman's community channel. And the winner is Alexandra's Airbrush. You can just stand here with me if you don't mind. So for those of you that don't know, Alexandra's Airbrush does custom art projects. She can spray anything, anywhere, anytime, on anything.
Spray any design with any media on any surface.
Yes, exactly. And anytime if you wanted to.
Yeah. Well.
She's been in business since 2013, and she's planning an expansion. And I'll maybe let Alexandra maybe speak about that.
Sure.
Thank you. And I just want to thank my fellow finalists as well. It was really tough, and once I realized who my finalists were, I didn't sleep very well because I thought I've really got to bring it in order to win this. So yes, I am planning an expansion because I actually have a current backlog of customers, because where I am, I'm actually located in Sandy Schneider's side office at Solutions Office Supplies, so I'm limited to what I can spray in there for health code reasons. So I need to build a full WMIS sort of expansion. So I was just deciding whether or not to rezone my current shop or to build something new. And just having the pitch at people behind me has really made me feel like, yes, this is something that I can do. It's, you know, it's something that I've believed in for a long time, and it was just letting go of the fear of doing it. So it's been a really good year. So yes, I am hoping to expand so I can do more custom guitars, helmets, and even moving into automotive. Actually, I work with Andy Purdom quite a bit on his signage. Andy and I actually went into the Elora sculpture project together, so we have a sculpture down in Elora together that I had to spray in his shop because my shop couldn't handle it. And no, it's just been an amazing year, so thank you again.
So stay here.
Okay.
So we'll get a picture in a second. So I just want to thank again all of our sponsors, all of the people that entered the contest, the judges, just everyone. It's really neat to see how this program has grown over the last 3 years, and other communities are wanting to establish something similar. So we're quite proud of it, but there's always room for improvement, so looking at how we can make it better for next year. And just thanks to council for your support as well. So we'll maybe get some photos with Alexandra, and then thank you very much.
Super.
Can see my shot.
Will do.
Thank you.
Where is it?
It's down in Palmerston at the Solutions Building.
Right beside.
Sorry? Okay.
Yeah, you not to be.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, are you, David?
All right, I guess our next item, thanks everybody for coming. Thanks Wes and Alexandria. I can just tell you, Alexandria did a really neat thing for my fishing club. We did I went in there with this, like, I want this and this and this, and I want a picture of a brown trout, and I need a fisherman. Other than that, I didn't give her no direction, and she came up with a great concept, and the guys really enjoyed it. The club started in 1954, so we were honoring our 3 original members who aren't with us anymore and hanging it up on a tree at the club, and they thought it was great, and to do something like that, that's just the talent you have. So thanks very much. Okay, moving on. Oh, source water protection. Yeah, and here he is. Welcome.
Thank you.
You know, we're on television, eh? So I just throw people off.
Good to know that.
Well, nice to see you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming, and thank you for having me, rather. My name is Kyle Davis. I'm the risk management official hired for the municipalities, the 7 municipalities in the County of Wellington, and I'm here today to give you an update on source water protection. So the presentation today, I'll briefly go through what the Wellington County approach is to the risk management official. I'll talk about implementation progress to date, as well as our work plan and work accomplished for 2014. And at the back of the presentation, there's a few appendix slides that just kind of outline the role of the risk management official and give a little bit more detail. So this slide shows the County of Wellington with the municipalities overlaid on it, as well as the conservation authority or the watershed boundaries. Sorry, I was looking for a laser pointer, but so in Wellington County we have 6 watersheds, but for the purposes of source water protection, 2 of them are grouped together, so there's 5 watersheds or source protection plans that we're dealing with. And source water protection is based on watershed boundaries. So for the town of Minto, the watersheds or the source protection plans that apply are the Maitland Valley and the Saugeen, and that would be the purple and the blue shown on the map. The other three for the county are the Grand River, the Credit, and the Halton Hamilton. And so source water protection is some of the first recommendations made by Justice O'Connor following the Walkerton tragedy, but it's some of the last to be implemented. And the reason for that is that there's been a lot of work that's been done to date by the conservation authorities and by the ministry and the municipalities to prepare both the technical reports, which are called the assessment reports, as well as to prepare the source water protection plans. So the risk management official position is a shared position that serves as all 7 local municipalities in the county. I started on October 30th, 2013, and the position is funded by the County of Wellington, similar to the county fire training officer. Now, the reason for risk management official is that the source protection plans outline some requirements and outline some requirements that need to be enforced and need some review for the protection of the municipal water supply. The responsibilities and authorities are set out under the Clean Water Act and are laid out in the last 2 slides in your appendix. So the Clean Water Act sets out the overall provincial. The Clean Water Act, I'll start again. The Clean Water Act sets out the overall framework for source water protection in the province. And the source water protection plans fill in the details. And they're locally driven. They're derived by source protection committees, which are made up of members of municipalities as well as interest groups and industry groups. And for the 2 plans for Minto, there's the Sauble Bayfield Maitland and there's the Saugeen. These 5 source protection plans and the 2 for Minto outline policies that are municipal responsibility, and that's where the risk management official comes in, and eventually the risk management inspector. So there will be policies that will need to be enforced. However, at this point, none of the plans are approved yet, none of our plans are approved yet by the Ontario Minister of Environment. There are three approved across the province. However, the 5 in the Wellington County have not yet been approved. The Saugeen plan is currently under review by the Ministry with an estimated date for final comments of August 2014. We've received initial comments, and we had a meeting just last week with the Saugeen folks about what those comments were. And final approval is not likely until mid to late 2015. The Sauble Bayfield Maitland plan was submitted in February of this year and is currently awaiting minister approval. My understanding is there are a number of plans ahead of it, though, for approval, and of course the current provincial election is putting a hold on approvals. To help with implementation, the Ministry has provided Source Protection Municipal Implementation Fund, and this is to help prepare for as well as implement source protection plans. So the town of Minto is eligible for a $100,000 base grant plus $15,000 in a collaboration incentive. And this collaboration incentive is for municipalities collaborating with 4 or more municipalities. By virtue of our shared risk management official position, all the municipalities in Wellington County would be eligible for that collaboration incentive. In total, the municipalities within the county are eligible for approximately $480,000 in base grants and a total of just over $600,000, including the collaboration incentives. So the first installments were received earlier this year, and the funds must be spent in a 2-year window starting on December 2013. There will be 3 payments. One following the first report in December 2014, and another following the final report in December 2015. So implementation progress to date. There's been a number of group and individual meetings with municipalities, including site visits to the wells and the wellhead protection areas. Multiple meetings with the source protection authorities, Sauble and Saugeen, as well as some of the neighboring risk management officials, and participation in provincial risk management official working group. The funding applications were submitted by the municipalities, and the first installments were received. And there's been a work plan and a setup of a municipal working group to guide implementation. So there's monthly meetings. Each municipality within Wellington County is represented on that group. That's a group that I chair, and as well as the county has a representative also. So the county, Mark Pally, who's one of the managers of planning there, is taking the lead on the application review process, both an online screening tool as well as the actual process for planning and building developments. We've been providing input and review of the Saugeen policies, and we've met with the Sauble and Saugeen to better understand the plans and what threat verification work has been done to complete to date. And I'll expand on that in a later slide. And we've just recently, in the last week or 2, started discussions with your staff about preparations for site visits where risk management plans may be needed. So the following slides, I'm providing you some visuals of the wellhead protection areas. So there's 4 slides here. So the first slide here is for Clifford. And the important thing to realize is that the majority of the policies and the plans apply close into the wells. So they apply in the red areas. which is a 100-meter radius around the wells. And that's where the majority of the policies apply. So that's things including septics, including handling of different chemicals, fuel storage, manure spreading, application of pesticides, etc. There's 21 prescribed threats that are set out by the Clean Water Act, and the plans have then set out the policies about how to deal with those. And it could be a range of things, from education to risk management plans, which is a type of a licensing, to in some cases prohibition. But the important thing to take away from these maps is that the majority of the policies apply close into the wells in the red areas. And then when you get into the orange and the yellow areas, which represent different vulnerabilities for the groundwater, really the main type of activity that applies there, or the policies that apply there, is the handling of a certain class of chemicals, which is called a DNAPL, a dense non-aqueous phase liquid, which is your dry cleaning chemicals, your metal and some metal degreasers. And so that's what applies in the larger areas, whereas the other policies apply in the much smaller areas, the red areas around the wells. So that's Clifford. Here's a shot of Harriston, and you can see along the side there where it talks about the vulnerability of 10 and 8, and 10 being red, or the highest vulnerability, and 8 being orange. And the outlines correspond to the time of travel for the amount of water to reach the wells. So 100-meter radius around the circle, and then the next circle out is the 2-year time of travel. This is a slide for Palmerston. One thing to note for both Palmerston and Clifford is that there are small areas on the outskirts in the yellow zones that do actually overlap into the neighboring municipalities. And then finally, Minto Pines. So the work plan for 2014, the work that's been completed and is ongoing right now, first and foremost, this work couldn't be done without the collaboration and the hard work of all the municipal reps, including your staff, Stacey Pennington and Terry. And we're working hard with everybody, and it's been a pleasure. So we're also working hard with the 5 source protection authorities, because the lead has been shifting. The conservation authorities have taken the lead on this up to this point, and now we're getting to the point where the municipalities have a role. So the primary focus over 2014 is, I've already touched briefly on the application review process for the building and planning departments, and that will include a development of a map-based or GIS screening tool, which has already actually been created for the Maitland portion of Minto, and that's the county that's done that work. The integration of source protection into the existing business process for application review, and again, there's a draft proposal for that that's already been put together. We're also working on education and outreach. I'll talk about that a little bit in the next slide, and some ongoing technical work, as well as some data management and some discussion on training. So the threat activity verification, threat activity verification or site visits for Minto. And threat is an unfortunate term. It's a term that's used in the Act. It's really activities is what the Act is trying to regulate. Threat gives the wrong connotation, in my opinion. This is some of the numbers that I think have probably gotten your attention in the past. Previously, the Saugeen Source Protection Authority's initial activity verification, initial activity count was about 400. They've done some hard work, and they've reduced that number to about 70. And that number we expect will come down again. There's some additional work that we'll do, building on what they've done. Asabel has completed their activity verification. They completed that last year and reduced their activity numbers from approximately 200 to 20. So we're seeing about 10% of the original numbers. So the future work, which we're starting to plan for right now, will involve a combination of ongoing desktop analysis, so a little bit more of the mapping analysis, and then eventually some site visits, some letters, and door-to-door outreach. We're actually going to start this with municipal sites. We've started this with a municipal site in Mapleton already, and we've got a site visit with Wayne set up in the coming weeks. Hand in hand with this is education and outreach. So there will be outreach to owners and tenants during the threat verification, as well as the application review process, as well as there is some septic system inspections. So municipalities are working together currently to develop a joint information package, some, simple one or two pagers that we can leave with people and also use for website information that explains what the program is, why we're at their property, and what they may expect. And then, last but not least, is data management. We do have requirements under the Clean Water Act to report to the province through the source protection authorities on an annual basis. That doesn't start until the risk management official is appointed, so we have no obligations to report at this time. But then once an appointment occurs, then there is an annual reporting requirement. So there's a need to pull together the information collaboratively between the municipalities so that we can make that as simple as possible. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Kyle. Any questions for Kyle?
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. Kyle, just wondering, with the election, do you think that'll slow this down?
What I've heard, in terms at the staff level, we're still getting comments back on the plans. So as long as the plans aren't up at the minister for approval, we are still getting, the conservation authorities are still getting comments on the plans. But from an approval point of view, yes, what I've been told is that the approvals will be on hold until after the election. And that's the case. So in the case of Saugeen, comments are still coming. In the case of Asable or Maitland, that's waiting for approval. So.
Yeah, so maybe just a question towards maybe Terry. If the PC government does get in, is that going to be a big stall tactic, or you think, like, he's talking about laying off a lot of people and stuff. I'm just wondering if he's going to start maybe with, well, I'm sure some of the firefighters first, but I'm sure he'll go after anybody else too. So I don't know. If that'll.
Well, there is a rumor out there that the Progressive Conservative Party is anti-conservation authorities.
Oh, really?
Yes. Now, I don't know how factual that is.
Yeah.
But that's certainly a concern for the conservation authorities.
They're
Indirectly, this is a conservation authority issue, although I happen to sit on both Saugeen and Maitland Valley, and both of them have decided that they don't want to be part of this process, and we're fortunate enough that the county has decided that they would take this on. Some municipalities are having to rely on conservation authorities if they're willing to do it, but
that's correct.
In our situation, they're strapped for finances as it is, and they really don't have enough people on the ground to be doing this as well as all their other jobs, so they realize that, and rather than getting into something that they couldn't really do justice to, they just decided that they wouldn't. Now, Asable, they're offering this type of service to municipalities in their watershed. So I don't know what it'll do, but there's been a lot of money spent on this. Hopefully they're not just going to throw it out the window. So I'm not sure they needed to spend the money that they did spend, but that's another matter. So I don't know what the answer to that is, but
well, I know you've been saying too, you guys have been running bare bones, but they've been doing a great job.
Yeah, I don't know. I've said it, and I'll say it again, whether this is the right place or not. The conservation authorities, as far as I'm concerned, are the most efficient level of government that we have. I mean, they're even more efficient than us, and I think we're pretty efficient here. But the things they accomplish with the number of dollars they get is amazing, as far as I'm concerned. Like, we just went through our flood emergency here, and they spent 270 hours in this community, and I mean, you can soon figure out what that cost, and I don't suppose our levy covers that cost, and so they do amazing work. And now, I'm a conservationist, so I'm a little biased, but I would have a concern that if there was that change, that the future of conservation authorities as we know it could be in jeopardy.
Yeah, the conservation authorities have been great to work with in the short 6 months that I've been here, and they've been a great resource for us. Yeah.
Well, and I think, Kyle, looking at your one slide there and talking about the fact that, and when we saw the original report, and they came in the 400, and it might even been higher at 400 at one time, I think. but it got down to 400, and then it got down to 70, now it's 200. I think logic took over.
Yes.
And some, just talking about some of the other counterbalances that are out there already, we had a lot of duplication of what things were already being done.
Right.
So talking to Terry and now that you're on board, and I give the county a lot of credit for the fact that they stepped up to the plate to hire somebody like you to allow us to get going on it. And I have to give the government credit in the sense we talked to them. I know people around this table sat in delegations and said, you're giving us another bunch of rules, how are you going to, there's no check coming.
Right.
And they did give us a check, so I give them credit for that. They give us a check, and that's $115,000 for us to implement it. And I think it's a doable thing now, and I think they should continue and finish it off, because water is very, very, it's got a lot of risk factor to it that we want to make sure that our wells are in a good spot. So I have no problem with how it's involved now. I was a little concerned a while back, because I thought it was, I think we spent a lot of money to make work project that could have been a little less.
Right.
But anyways, that's in hindsight. But I think going forward, I'd like to see it finished. I do believe it should get finished. So hopefully we have time. Now, one thing I had a little question on was, if this delay happens and we go on, and they've got a time frame of getting the money, I'm assuming that'll get stretched too. Because you can't expect, if they haven't approved it by 2014 December,
Yes.
that you have 1 year to use your money up.
Yeah, I'd agree, and that's been a common concern. And if you look back at that slide, I didn't speak to it, but the Lake Erie Source Protection Committee, which serves the grant, right off the bat sent a resolution to the minister asking exactly that, saying, look, initially you said 3 years, and it's 2. And there's only at that point there was only 2 plans approved at that point. There's 3 now. So the reply back though from the ministry was fairly quick, and was, well, we meant 3 fiscal years, which it is, and it's going to stand as it does currently. Now since then we've seen a little bit of softening in that. So now the ministry representatives are saying, well, possibly, but at this point they're still sticking fairly hard to the 2 years.
Would we anticipate then doing the work we think they're going to ask us to do and get it done? Is that the idea?
Well, there's some work that we need to do for preparation,
right?
And there's some work that we can do exactly to your point, in not only in preparation but in anticipation of what needs to be done. So that's when I was talking about the site visits for sites that need risk management plans. We can't issue those risk management plans until after the plan has been approved, the resource protection plan has been approved. But we can certainly start to talk to the owners. Right. We can certainly start to negotiate. As one of the ministry reps said, have musings about what the risk management plans would be, and start to work out some of those details ahead of time.
Right. Yeah. Well, we have the money to spend.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Correct.
Good. Any other questions for Carl? Thanks for coming.
Mayor Burge, very quickly, you mentioned about reporting.
Yes.
You didn't have to report till after the RMO was appointed?
That's correct.
So do we have to appoint you locally, or will you be appointed?
No, each municipality will, and thank you for the question, it's a good question. Each municipality will have to appoint the risk management official and the risk manager inspectors. It'd be similar to, my understanding would be similar to like the building inspector or chief building official appointment. And the reason for that is because each municipality within Wellington County has the authority to pass bylaws around water.
And if I may, Mayor Bridge, we can't do that till the plans are approved.
No, you can do that ahead of time. You can do that. You can do that ahead of time. What that then means, though, is that there is that reporting for the remainder of that calendar year, and then for every calendar year going forward, which is something we can handle.
Mayor Bridge, we do know how we're handling our RMI. That'll be through our building department, and Terry, with the support from a position that currently Stacy's fulfilling, that would be our RMI. So we should probably talk about how that comes forward to happen. Okay. The second thing is, I'm very grateful that you're here, because I no longer have to even think about that. You guys got it wrong. But the last thing that I had heard was on the education side of things. Correct me if I'm wrong. One plan said Conservation Authority did it. One plan said municipality.
Yes.
Are we forced to buy from the Conservation Authority that?
We are forced to buy from the Conservation Authority in the ASABO plan. There is a requirement there in that plan. We had made a comment to the Asable Bayfield Maitland folks, and have talked about them. They've been great to work with. And the reason that they've gone that way is they, as Deputy Mayor Fisk pointed out, they're working at the Asable Bayfield are working with a lot of other municipalities that don't have the same capacity. So therefore, they're looking to help them with that. So we can always go above and beyond in terms of education. In fact, there will be some, so when I spoke about education on this slide, there is some additional information that we will need to sort of explain, you know, for instance, why somebody in Minto needs to talk to somebody whose office is in Elora around a building permit, you know, some things along those lines. So we can still do above and beyond education. But yes, there are differences. So the Saugeen plan is different from the Maitland plan in that respect.
I recall it was only a few $1,000s.
I believe that's.
But the good news is you talk about working together on all the other information, so
yes.
hopefully it'll kind of appear seamless, even though at council here we struggled with the fact we had 2 plans and
yes.
But
yes.
Anyway, I'm glad to see you're working with them.
Yes, thank you. And one thing I should add is we're meeting with the Asable Maitland folks in a couple weeks, Terry, Stacy, and I, to talk exactly about this issue, to try to coordinate our education and make sure that everything is as seamless as possible. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay. We in the walkway. I think we're in the walkway, if I'm not missed anything. CEO Clerk will talk about the walkway access to Middle Clifford Public School.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. A little trip down memory lane, perhaps, for the last few years. When council bought the Harrison Senior School from the Upper Grand School Board, one condition that was that we address access to the school. As you know, there's currently a paved walkway through the middle of the old senior school that the students use from interior neighborhoods to get into Minto Clifford. One of the things that the mayor and I had to sign as part of the incidental signatures at the time was an access agreement. And in that it said that until we construct a little chunk of sidewalk on Arthur Street, or we consulted and the parties agreed to get rid of that little stipulation, we were obliged to build what's shown in purple, a little section of sidewalk on the colored map that I provided you. We sold the property to the Metzgers and their companies in November of last year. They signed a rather lengthy servicing agreement with you that, among many other things, requires them to build a walkway that's 5 feet wide along the William Street extension, which would be just west of this development lands. That sidewalk was to be in the location that a sidewalk would be when and if William Street was built as a municipal standard. And they would put it to a gravel walkable condition, and then in the future, if we wanted it as a hard surface sidewalk, that would be a municipal responsibility. We would probably do that in concert with building sewer and water that has to go up in there and extending the roadway into other future development land. They were about to build the walkway on William Street, and they went in to speak to the principal of the school. And it turns out that the staff at the board and to some degree the principal have concerns with where that walkway is located on William Street. Their preference being that we put in the purple section of sidewalk on Arthur Street. I don't know if that's instead or in addition to. I've certainly conveyed on our behalf that we'd be more than pleased to put in that purple sidewalk on Arthur Street if we felt it was necessary, but currently right now the children come up Arthur Street and cut across the church parking lot and into the school, so directing them off that section of property is not absolutely necessary at this time, but if at some point the church wanted them off there, we would be able to build this sidewalk, and it would not be a huge expense for the municipality. The main purpose for the report is to ask council to request the board direct the fence to be opened where the William Street walkway would come through. I know there's some internal reasons that have been explained to some of the staff that have been involved with this about not wanting the fence open, but to our way of thinking here at the municipality, it seems like it's a logical thing that if we put a walkway to the fence, but they would allow an opening in it so that kids can cross, stay off the construction site, as it develops and get access into the school property. In the meantime, the developer has agreed to allow for a temporary walkway that would go right along the north end of their property. You can see it kind of in orange on there as a temporary situation that would be fenced off, and the kids would have to walk sort of along the private property into the existing hole in the fence. So our recommendation is that you receive the report and request the school board to put in an opening in the fence where the William Street walkway would come through, and then once that walkway is completed, that the access agreement between the parties be terminated. And that would be with the understanding that if we ever needed to build that Arthur Street sidewalk extension, we would do that at a later date.
Questions?
Thanks, Mayor Bridger. Are we getting the biggest push from the principal and the staff or from the county?
The county has, I believe, has no concerns, so it's coming from staff at this point. So this is, I think, a political request.
Through you, Mayor Bridge. So the big concern is the monitoring and security concerns. That's what's mentioned here. To me, it would, they're going to close one gap and open up another gap, so the security and monitoring will still be the same, it'll just be at a different spot.
Yeah. That's pretty well. Correct.
So I don't see the issue here at all.
Except they can't monitor it from up here, probably standing
They may have to
there.
walk
They might
down
have
to the
walk
other
down,
end of the
exactly.
schoolyard, but that might be good for them.
Yeah.
And Mayor Bridge, and I don't mean to make light of them, but if we did talk in those,
You don't want me to negotiate that?
Oh, well.
in that fashion with the staff there, and
I didn't
I don't
go.
pretend to know a whole lot about how they do their things there, but we feel that, just as you said, that an opening at that location is about the same or maybe even better, but there may be a feeling that that purple sidewalk extension is more important than this William Street. They were party to all the feedback I think you all received through the various public meetings. The neighborhood saying we want access through the middle, not up and around on the highway. We don't want all the children having to go up that way. So, you know, I think to some degree we're a little bit at fault. Maybe we didn't consult, but it seems so logical to us. We've consulted now, and this is where we sit. So hopefully the board will give some direction that is consistent with what our recommendation is. Yeah.
We have the recommendation. Anybody got any?
What's that?
Yeah. Councilor Heston, seconded by Councilor Turton. All in favor? Yeah. That's the same comment I had to and you're on again, Phil.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. This site plan is for the proposed gas bar to be built by the purchasers of what was called Part 1, or the most westerly lot in the Palmerston Industrial Park. This is for the gas bar and convenience store. The gas bar is about 1,900 square feet in size, or if you're a metric person, 185 square meters. There's also a 4-island gas bar with rather large canopy over top. I don't have specific tenancy information at this time. Site plan was to be amended to include 12 parking spaces, and they have been provided in front of the building and also along the back of the property line. You have 2 of the 4 plans that were submitted. The first plan is the grading and drainage plan, and one thing you'll note is that garbage storage is located in 2 different spots on there. That's simply because the grading, or the landscape plan hasn't quite caught up with the grading plan, but there's reasons for that I'll get into here in a minute. Generally, as far as urban design goes, this kind of gas bar is developed to a pretty good standard. So we have paved parking, we have curbed parking areas, we have catch basins going in with proper controls to make sure they're environmentally suitable. They have a driveway, 1 shared access to the county road. A little section of that will be a rollover curb that will be used only by trucks, but the vast majority of people will be going in on a much narrower entrance. So if you look at the grading plan, you can see what would be about a 25-foot entrance in, and then kind of a turning area. That'll be a paved area where when they bring the fuel in, that the trucks will be going over. That lines up with the Tim Hortons entrance. You may recall from the Tim Hortons site plan, we had to extend the easement a little bit back. We'll be doing that surveying and making sure that happens as a condition of both development agreements for this property. The Tim Hortons site plan agreement has been signed and is being registered, and we'll be preparing this one for signature here next week. The servicing for the property comes from the back lot, so you can see you have, I guess, any way of magnifying it. Sewer and water will come up the back. It will be constructed to provide access to Part 2 and to the convenience store gas bar as well. So it'll have full sewer and water. Also along the back will be a drainage swale that will be common to all three of these properties and will be used by subdivision properties on the north side of this. The biggest issue with this plan at this point in time is a municipal drain. We had a meeting today with the engineers on the municipal drain and with the client's engineer, Triton, who happens to act with us on the subdivision as well. But so we have a couple of options on the municipal drain. On the plan that's shown to you now, the municipal drain actually comes down what would be the easterly boundary of the property. You can see a couple of catch basins along there, and the surface water would flow to that municipal drain, and that would take care of the front of the building. Behind the building, that would flow through some little stone outlets on into the ditch. That municipal drain, in fact, may well be interceptable at the cul-de-sac that we're building to the north, so there may be no need for that municipal drain to cross here. So in the approvals, we're suggesting final grading and drainage will have to be provided to town staff satisfaction. That would also be reviewed by the grading and drainage engineer as well. So there are solutions here, and it should not impact. The worst case is that the drain comes right across the side of this and gets put in an easement. I have spoken to the developers of this site, and they are aware that this has to happen. At a worst case, the best case is we'll intercept it to the north, and it will not have to cross this property. That's the problem.
Mayor, through you, Mayor Bridge, two questions. So there's no rear access to this gas bar?
No, all the access comes off the shared entrance. Yes.
Do we not see a concern the access to Tim Hortons? I can see if we did a similar access off of 109 or Highway 9 and put a gas bar right beside that and had a shared entrance with Tim Hortons. Big headaches with people coming out and people turning left to go into the gas bar. That's just a thought.
Yeah, I think that's a valid concern, if I may, through you, Mayor Bridge. But one of the things that has to come as a result of county comments just received today is a bit of a traffic study to handle how the traffic will flow on the property. There's also a turning lane on the county road that will have to be extended down further. So the way it's been discussed in the agreement of purchase and sale on this property and in the development agreement for Tim Hortons and will be in the development agreement for this site is that the two parties share 1/3, 2/3 on any improvements to make sure that this traffic works. So kind of trying to cover it off through that, and the gas bar developer is aware that he has to contribute to the entrance solution. So
could the county ever consider widening that?
Well, what widening? Watch the road?
The entrance. Off of 123.
Yeah, in our discussions with them, they were only prepared to permit one.
Just for my information, Bill, you go in and the truck will get their gas, and there's a place that's going to be big enough for them to make that turn to come back out. Will the truck stop here and then go over and grab a coffee? I'm just thinking out loud because it says that we're gonna have big signs saying no parking on the highway and no parking on Minto Road. So the guys traveled for a lot of hours and said, well, I'll grab a coffee. I'll just pull over the side of our parking lot. Is that truly a parking lot, or is that just a way out, or are we gonna have like 4 or 5 trucks in there?
Well, if I may, through Mayor Bridge to Councillor Elliott, in that corner will be the sign and the gas tanks, but there will be room there if the truck wanted to park. I don't suppose we would be able to stop it, so that will be something that they'll have to police themselves.
They'll have to do the policing.
But they do have the curb along the county road, the whole front, so they will not be able to park in front of that. So that has been incorporated in the design like Tim Hortons. So on the north side of the county road, there will be no truck parking unless they're driving over and breaking curbs, and hopefully that doesn't.
And remember the, well, sorry, Councillor.
Okay, I was just going to ask, so is there not going to be truck parking allowed on Minto Road?
On Minto Road and on the cul-de-sac, if I may, through you, Mayor Bridge, we think that we can accommodate some trucks if they have to park at that location, but there, yes. So
And there also will be an entrance off Minto Road.
For Tim Hortons.
Just for Tim Hortons, not for gas bar?
No, because they're way over on the other side.
Right, but they can't go through
No.
one, no.
But what if you remember what Tim Hortons, and if I remember their layout, you're going to be going through the drive-through coming off Minto Road probably in most cases. People are going to go down, turn there, and come in, and then come back out. So a lot of the out traffic for them will be coming out the entrance. And for the gas bars, they'll be coming in and out.
I was just trying to picture, and I get a lot of people, the reason I'm asking, I get a few people have asked me, that are we going to have lousy parking at Tim Hortons and, you know, way in and out like most of them are? Well,
if I may, we were quite pleased with the parking and access for Tim Hortons, and I think it'll work fine for regular customers. And the trucks, as they have insisted, they don't really want them on that property.
that's right.
And through you, Your Worship, Tim Hortons has been around for 50 years now, and they've been building beside a lot of gas stations in Canada and the northern states now. And I haven't seen anything on CNN lately that there's been major pile-ups going into Tim Hortons coming out of the gas station. So I think they've probably got a pretty good plan on parking. So I got no concerns with it, to be honest with you. So
I don't
I'm not
either.
concerned about the parking.
It's great.
Mayor Bridge, one of the things that should come back, I think, when we talk about the municipal drain, is we're gonna get a drawing with the cul-de-sac on it, and the Tim Hortons plan and this plan, all on one thing. And when you approve the servicing for the new road up there, you can see how this all fits in. But it is a little confusing when you get bits and pieces, but I think we've been working with a common consultant, Triton Engineering, and our staff have been looking at it, we've been having our development meetings, and so I think we've got a plan that will work, and we're certainly recommending this plan be approved with the conditions that are outlined in the recommendation.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. Question for whoever. Whereabouts does the speed slow down in front of, because, I mean, when you think about Elora, the speed limit there is 50 or less. And I think it's like that in Shelburne as well.
I think it's.
Whereabouts, when we're coming in past 87, 123, whatever,
I think it's 50 from Bramhill's corner in. I think, I seem to recall, I don't.
Just at the edge of town.
Signs across from
Sounds it. So it's still 80 up until that point?
I'm thinking,
There's a sign right across from the optometrist building.
I always slow down.
I'm thinking it's right where the entrance would be where the 50 changes.
That might be something that we need to look at to
Back
kind
up.
of extend that a little bit, because, you know, when people are pulling out or in, 80 is pretty tough.
Well, that's
Pretty hard to make that.
That should be part of the county traffic.
all right, yeah.
Mayor Bridge, in both cases, the county has commented, and we just received their comments today. They approved one entrance, and so long as the traffic information comes to their satisfaction. To me, the issue is extending that left turn lane so that people can get out of the line of traffic for their mover turn.
It hasn't always been an entrance off of 120 either, so that was a good thing when we thought that could happen.
There was a little negotiation that had to happen.
Good for you, Mayor Bridge.
But it comes down to creating economic development, and, you know, sometimes we have to look at the whole thing. So, but I think everybody at this table has always talked about, let's get this as good as, you know, as good as plan as possible as far as the traffic. And I think, you know, I'll leave it up to staff to keep working on that, and hopefully it'll come up that way. All right? Okay. We need a motion? Motion? Councilor Curtin, Councilor Caldwell, all in favor? Carried. And no, I turn it over to Councillor Caldwell to assume the chair. Well, there's your cohort.
Right there.
Right there.
There are 2 items on the finance committee agenda tonight. First is the approval of accounts from May 12, 2014. Just give a summary.
Sure, thank you, Chair Caldwell. As you can see, there's a few big items this time. We have the payment of our insurance policy at about $245,000, which is a lot of money, but if you will recall from our previous negotiations, it's probably at least $20,000 to $25,000 lower than what it could have been, so still a large amount. We also had $67,000 debenture payment included there, and we had the payment on our Ford F-550 truck, the one that will do pretty much everything, transformers and power winch and everything. And we also bought a range for one of the arenas at $11,000, and we had about $40,000 in hydro, so that covers more than half of it.
Through you, Chairman Caldwell, that there's 3 numbers there with little arrows above them. Does that mean they're above budget, or what does that mean?
I think that's something in the photocopier, because I reprinted that and I don't have it, but I did notice in it.
Could have been a comment.
There,
I was going to say Excel.
yeah, and normally that doesn't print, but that's weird. Anyway. That's what those are. There's a hidden story behind that.
Story we don't know.
Jackie's left a secret message here.
It's the Duff code.
Yeah.
So there's no hidden
row code.
Okay.
We'll be watching for those.
Yeah, yeah. They're expandable. Yeah.
Okay, the recommendation of the Council of the Town of Minto received the Treasurer's report dated May 12, 2014 regarding approval of accounts and approved the Town of Minto accounts by department for May 2014. Councilor Elliott, Mayor Briggs, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. And then the second item on the agenda is in regards to federal gas tax funding agreement.
Right, so included in your package near the back in the bylaw is a 26-page agreement, but I want to kind of bring a few highlights. As you know, past federal governments have kind of put in place a few years at a time, and there's been a lot, I think at least a year of negotiations between the provinces and the federal government, and they finally asked us to bring forward to our council here. The federal gas tax program is administered differently depending on each province, and in Ontario we have AMO as the administrator and that too. So from an overall Canadian national perspective, it's all a good news thing, and the program is permanent and it's indexed and everything. But our, I guess, problem that we're left with is it's updated on the last census figures. So not only has Ontario got a lower share of the national population, within Ontario we have a lower share too. So our increase amounts to about a $20,000 decrease, and will be lower, as you can see in the schedule, for about 5 years. It'll be 2018 before we come back to what we had last year, which was the $260,000. There's a few other things too, like it's much more flexible on what you can use it for. I think it went from 7 categories to 17, and I'm sure we could spend it well on any of those. We're no longer required to have a separate audit, which we had right from the beginning. So that part's good. However, they're going to do random audits up to 10% of the municipalities. So there may be just as many audits in that too. And the reporting, it may be less. I don't know. It's hard to say. Before you had to fill in something called the Schedule C, and it was all geared towards greenhouse gas emissions. Now it's not really related to that. It's primarily we're to let the government know ahead of time. Now this being May, the normal deadline is going to be March 31st, which shouldn't be a problem, but for now what we'll do is we'll enter online what our proposals are for 2014, and they do want their share of credit for sure. So somehow staff are going to have to come up with more media events and put a sign up and like, yes, exactly. So we've I think 4 projects that were expected this time, so the sign makers lobby has done very well, and we're going to have more there. So anyway, those are some of the highlights, but I know there's a lot to take in, so if you have any questions, certainly.
Was
Sure.
there a cost associated with that audit that we?
Yes,
had?
yes, roughly $1,500.
Yeah,
roughly.
3,000 at the county.
Yeah, and we did get a random audit, I think it was 3 years ago. And for us, it was relatively easy. It was one of those years when we didn't spend anything, so all we were auditing was, did we take the money in and did we put it in a reserve and account for it? So it was quite straightforward. But yeah, normally we photocopy all the invoices and checks and hand it to our auditor, and he does a separate report, but that won't be required anymore.
So it is a small thing.
Yeah, it's one of those, it's like, you know how many different grants and programs, why do we have a separate one? Because we're paying for an overall audit anyway, so it makes sense.
Are there any questions?
I was at the FDP meeting in the county
yeah.
today, and they were talking about this, and
Yeah.
of course we did our report, and then Ken said, but we're not supposed to really tell anybody yet, or some silly thing.
There's no press release.
No press release, so no press release on this. I have no idea. Like, this is what gets me a little bit about federal and provincial governments. They talk about being open and transparent. They tell us we have to have this approved by the end of May. We have to do it in our last council meeting, but don't tell anybody till June or after the election.
Right.
Like, go give me a
Close your
break.
ears.
So I don't know.
Yeah, but I did like.
The county has to do it on the 26th, right? So they have to do it.
Yeah, and I did ask, like, well, can we do this in closed session?
Yeah.
And they said, oh, no, just don't set off the fireworks or anything.
But it is good news we don't have to have the audit.
That's right.
That is good news.
Yeah.
For you, Councillor Cola, in light of all those comments, is there a danger that this is going to disappear?
I don't think so. This makes it permanent. And I don't think any party at the federal level envisions cutting back further. I mean, yeah, I mean, ideally, we'd like, the old saw that Sarah the HST. Like, this is very good, and it's a great program, and it's transparent, but as you know, $240,000 only goes so far. It's great, it's predictable, but you'll see later on how many trucks you can buy with that. Yeah.
Are there any other questions? Then the recommendation is that the council of the town of Minto receives the treasurer's May 13, 2014 report regarding the federal gas tax funding agreement and considers the bylaw in regular session. Councillor Curtin, Mayor Bridge, all in favor? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And I turn the chair back to you.
Thank you, Councilor Cola. I'll turn it over